Ran up the clock. My world was parenting, says Frost, 45, who's wearing black pants, a black knit top, and a black over blouse. When they told me it would be a TV show, I was shocked in a really pleasant way. Like, wow, really? I was in the middle of Oxford Street at the time, which is a really busy shopping street, and I was on the phone. Wow, I can't believe I'll have this opportunity to help families in a bigger way. That would be amazing. She has a brother 18 months younger than she, and says of her own childhood, I had a pretty well-adjusted style of parenting. I think my parents were very young, very open. I think I learned many things from them. Etiquette and grace, compassion and charity. And who I am today is due to a lot of attributes of my parents. My parents were people who I'm proud of. But Frost was only 24 when she lost her mother to breast cancer. It is the worst thing that's happened to me in my life, the worst event, she sighs. I lost a lot of family members over a short period of time, but losing my mother was devastating to me, devastating. She was so courageous and so graceful. She was 43. It had an impact. Everything changes, she continues. Your life, your perceptions. You have a whole new perspective on things. With life experience comes the opportunity for you to reflect about those things in your life. I'm an old soul. You go through the whole grieving process. It brings you to a space where you can look at life and realize what's important and what's not important. While she's a whiz at temporizing toddlers or thawing out teens, Frost has no children of her own. She's engaged to the production manager on her show and foresees a wedding sometime this year. Though they've been together for 10 years, she says it's not his idea to stay single. It's hers. We get to work together, but it means I'm on the road with him, so we're not away for any length of time, because I feel that would create probably a lot of problems if we were. Spending much absent time from your partner, how do you feed the relationship? How do you keep the commitment? No, she's not his boss, she insists. We both work for Nanny Joe Productions. Healthy boundaries, she laughs. And will she practice what she preaches if she has her own children? That question has come closer and closer to home with respect to when are we going to have children, and what are the steps we need to take with respect to making sure we can do that, she says. Actress doesn't mind love scenes. Marvel's Jessica Jones has earned a second season while the first is still streaming on Netflix. Kristen Ritter, who plays Jessica, says the sexy love scenes that she and Mike Colter execute on the show are not so difficult. If you're going to have to do a scene like that, it's not terrible to do it with Mike, she says. He's all right looking, but he is also just a nice guy, and always has your back. I always felt really safe and protected, and it's so choreographed. There's really nothing sexy about it. We kind of pick on each other, more like brother and sister. So it wasn't as bad as it could have been, she says. Coulter claims it's not romancing the woman in his bed that's embarrassing, but all the onlookers. The awkward point is the people in the room that's besides us. It's not us, it's just the 20 or 30 people that are around, who are all of a sudden on set, who normally wouldn't be on set. That's always interesting. But I really thought that it turned out. Actors harbor all kinds of reasons for accepting a part, but Ryan Hurst chose his latest role in The Outsiders because of the tattoos. I'm a tattoo fanatic. If I was not an actor, I'd be covered in them head to toe. I go to tattoo conventions just to see great artists, says the veteran of Sons of Anarchy and Bates Motel. And it was one of the first things that attracted me to the script before I knew that David Morse was attached to it. Very early in the very first script, in the description and an action line, it said these guys have old runic tattoos. And I was just like, this is a modern-day story, and you're talking about a tribe of hillbilly gypsies with old runic tattoos. And it was just that sort of conglomeration that really attracted me. I did this similar thing on Sons of Anarchy early in the first season. I had a shirtless scene and I just sort of got together with 3 of my friends and designed the tattoos. He did the same thing when he began The Outsiders, which airs on WGN. They had an artist, but I kind of said, let me just kind of get in there and find some people and sort of help design it. Because you can change makeup, you can change hair, you can change wardrobe. But once you establish a tattoo for somebody, best case scenario, this thing goes for 8 years, 9 years. You're stuck with it. Viewers may be surprised to catch Rob Lowe in his latest incarnation as the cigarette-smoking, irreverent, like radio or TV on. Work out with each child whether they prefer all school work done by noon or pacing. Some older kids like the pace. With your kids, that keeps them up to speed on how you will all work together, she says. Place your meetings in recess time if you can, or have a grandparent FaceTime with your kids whilst you take a call. More hands make lighter work on all. This may be especially hard on parents of only children, but it's important to develop independent play skills. It becomes about them discovering and learning by themselves and being okay with their own company. They can do this by doing puzzles or crafts, playing with their own toys and musical instruments, learning to build from instruction or listening to audiobooks, not to mention there's no harm in a little interactive TV where the kids can shout out, "My grandson loves Blue's Clues." You can set goals and incentives if you choose, just don't make the prize too expensive, or you'll find yourself at Target buying a brand new bike sooner than you thought. And throughout the juggle of school, work, and home responsibilities, parents have to make sure they don't lose themselves. It is really important that we embrace and understand these overwhelmed feelings are very normal right now, Frost says. Leaning on friends, our partner and family, to express how we feel can help in that moment, and if the feeling is progressively getting worse, to always seek professional help. However, I do want to say that with healthier eating, being active and a consistent sleep routine does help us mentally to support the good chemistry working in our bodies. Also, let's not forget our happy place, the place where we can just stop, let thoughts pass and reset. For me, that's the tub. What about you? The last thing that parents have to battle is their own inertia. I dare you to at the least give one of these tips a go, because just one is a start which gets you on track to do another, she says. I know more than most that mustering up the energy can seem so difficult, but if you could challenge your mind to say yes rather than the comfortable no, you tell yourself, I promise you, you will thank yourself soon. Make 2020 count for you and your family. She adds, because if your kids can remember this time as a trying one, but with one that was showered with your love and protection, then you know you did something pretty spectacular. The revival is scheduled to debut on U.S. cable network Lifetime on Jan 1. It will always remain a privilege to be educating and helping families evolve and making a difference, Frost said in a press release. Thank you, Lifetime, for bringing this groundbreaking show back to families nationwide at a time in the world when we so desperately need it most. Unlike Supernanny, Frost's main focus in the new series lands mostly on the parents and older children, who engage in unbelievable amounts of screaming, cursing, and crying at one another. Starting with the Quinn Davis family in the premiere episode, Frost uses her patented system of observation, followed by hard truths and interventions, before allowing the family to work on their issues without her, ultimately returning to check in and make any final. The Quinn Davises are a blended California family, with husband Don bringing 2 kids from a former marriage and wife Julie bringing 4. Most of the children are teenagers, making the household one of continuous turmoil. The floodgates open quickly once Frost starts prodding for triggers that are setting the family off. And she has an excellent ability to boil issues down to core problems that can be clearly addressed, such as marital issues, sibling rivalry, kids bullying parents, or a lack of accountability. She also doesn't put up with any back talk from the kids or wishy-washiness from parents, and preaches the importance of respect, structure and trust, common sense statements that make her a necessary voice of reason in the chaos of unhappy homes. Frost remains tough and charming, inserting herself fully into the families she aims to help, fighting with them just as they do with each other, until she claims victory and re-establishes calm. Until that point, though, the shrillness and shrieking of the family members can be hard to bear. Family SOS is exhausting but cathartic, not just for the families involved but for viewers as well. The series is not necessarily pleasant to watch, but it is engrossing in the same way Supernanny was. Further, Frost has a dogged sincerity, a real desire to put these broken families back together. Sincerity is a refreshing term when it comes to reality TV, and the show even addresses some meta issues of its structure by including scenes of the kids hiding from the cameras and shouting at the camera crew.